All right, so now we're going to have a student come up and share her story about how she decided to follow Jesus and has grown in her faith since. May y'all give a warm welcome to Ruthann Brown. She's really cool. First question for you, Ruthann. What's your spiritual background and what was life like growing up?
So I did grow up in a Christian household, but it was a little bit unique. So in my church, modesty was very played on, very important. And so growing up, I wore skirts below the knees. Shoulders always had to be covered, basically no jewelry, no makeup, always had to have hair like as long as possible. Some people had some really long hair, okay? But yeah, so I grew up in like a unique Christian household where that's what I was taught was like super, super important, and modesty is important, y'all. Don't take that for granted. But I was taught anything else besides that was immodest. And so I remember getting excited to go to my first youth camp because I want to meet other Christian people like me outside of my church. And so I went to that youth camp and I decided to say yes to Jesus. And so even though I said yes to Jesus at youth camp, I went right back home and lived the same life. And I didn't walk and I didn't grow in my relationship with Christ.
And so how did you begin to grow in your relationship with God, and how have you grown from then up until now?
So it turns out when you don't grow in your relationship with Christ, you have really little faith. And so I found that out the hard way when I had some troubles come my way. So my brother and sister ended up turning their backs on Christ within the same year. And so that left me like super heartbroken, a lot of questions, a lot of hurt and bitterness and anger towards God. And I just didn't really trust him, and I didn't really want a relationship with him at that point. And so I lived that way, but I wanted to keep up appearances, right? Because I didn't want to be judged by other people. And so I still went to church, proclaimed to be a good Christian, did all the right things, said the right things. But at that point, I had also turned my back on the Lord because, I just didn't want to live like that if my siblings were going to live it with me. And so I lived that way for a couple years and had a major wake-up moment. And so in 2018, my friend Zach, who I'd grown up with in church, actually passed away in a motorcycle accident. And so that was a huge wake-up call for me. And so it made me start thinking, what is my life going to be like, if I live this way, and what will people say about me when I'm gone, and what will be my legacy that I leave behind? And so I decided to rededicate my life to the Lord after that, like fully and completely. And I came here to UTA, where I started to seek out, some Christian friends and Christian community that would help me grow. And so I saw the BSIM table at orientation, and I was immediately drawn to it. I got invited to Summer Vertical, and I started coming to Verticals, and I just found this community of people who really loved Jesus and really loved me. And so I so desperately wanted to be a part of this community, and so I joined leadership team the next semester after that. And I started leading small groups at Casey Hall. And then I'm now leading freshman Bible studies and going to discipleship and accountability. And the Lord has just really shown himself to be faithful to me through it all, even when I wasn't to him. And so I've built that trust back up, and I have such a strong faith in the Lord. And I've just grown so confident in being able to study the Bible and be in prayer and sharing my faith.
Last question is, what's a word of encouragement or a challenge you'd like to share with everyone?
So my word of encouragement would be to not be afraid to say yes to the Lord, whether that's starting with saying yes to salvation or trusting in him and saying yes to serve. God has called all of us to serve in some area of life, no matter where you are, even if it's in your own home. And so growing up, I didn't have a mentor to kind of help me and guide me and teach me those kinds of things. So when I got here, I was no, that's not for me. I'm not ready to serve, and the Lord can't use me because I've never been able to do this. And well, the Lord proved me wrong. And so just say yes to the Lord. And I found out that, as Gary said previously, the Lord doesn't call the equipped, but he equips the called. And so you are called, so just say yes to the Lord.
Ruthann's Ruthann's story really reminds me of Hebrews 12, which says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." I love that people discipled you while you're here, and then you decided to disciple others, and you're passing that baton on, and you're going overseas for a semester. So praise God. Can we say thanks to Ruthann?